Plantagenet by Mike Walker. Henry V, True Believers.
We are to be married, madam.
So it seems.
It does not seem, it is so. I am led to believe that you do not find the prospect distasteful.
By whom are you led, sir?
Is it so?
How could I find it unpleasant to lie with a man who has just killed some 15,000 of my countrymen?
Is that French irony? If so, I do not appreciate it. The victory at Agincourt and my conquest is a fact. I suggest you accept it.
Is that English plain speaking? If so, I do not appreciate it.
It is not necessary that you do. You simply need to breed me heirs. And that, madam, is an English wooing.
I never really understood him.
He was a complicated man.
French queens and English kings. My sister married Richard II. Bolingbroke threw him down to become Henry IV. I marry Henry's son, the fifth Hal. I barely even knew him. Of course, it's not necessary to know your husband. It is enough to have his child.
And that you have done.
Thomas, tell me, do men desire to know the person they sleep with, as women do?
I'm a priest, madam. I sleep with the Lord.
We will make a different cloth. Swear to me now, boy, on your knees, that you'll be the Night King, perfect and without fault, Plantagenet nonpareil. Swear it is your destiny.
Father, no one could be such a king outside the storybooks.
Then we will make a story. See this crown? You want to wear it? Then swear it.
It is mine by right, as it is a man's right to breathe the air around him.
Oh, you're a strange boy, Hal. Sometimes I think the fairies must have left you in exchange for a human child. You have no passion in you. Do you never lose your temper, lust madly for a woman? But you're no fool. Swear.
I swear it.
Good. Now, Hotspur advances. We need to stop him before he joins with the Welsh. I want you with the army. I want them to see the young prince at the head of England's troops. Now, get yourself some new armour. Something conspicuous. That's the spirit. We'll stick it to these thieving Percy bastards. Oh, and take some of these raisins. They're very good. I get them from Turkey, you know. God bless you. Well, priest, there's the boy. You know your job. Go do it.
As you command, your majesty. So it will be written.
Who? The Bowen? Warwickshire? Hold on, I got you somewhere. Clark, where are these men to go?
Who are you? Come. This is no place for priests.
Thomas of Earlham, sir.
Well, Thomas of Earlham, I have no plans to be meeting my maker this campaign, but I do hope to be sending some business his way.
I hope so too, sir. But
We never know when we may stand before our Father in heaven.
true, my lord, but I'm here because of your father in London. The king requires a record of the campaign. I am your scribe.
Sure, I like that. Ever had your ass kicked, Thomas of Earlham, hard with an iron-shod foot all the way back to the monastery?
They tell me you're a reader, sir, that you love books.
Huh? What?
Think of me as Caesar's slave leaning over his shoulder in the moment of triumph.
The man has balls, you have to give him that, even if they're not much use to a monk.
Another stranger. But this one I know by reputation, at least. Thomas of Earlham, meet the devil. This is John Oldcastle. By God, the man's gone white.
By God, so he has!
Meet the devil?
The devil in England.
And the devil was his friend.
The heretic, Oldcastle. The friend of his youth, perhaps. You have to understand, madam, that the church had been hunting Lollards and burning them, but, as always in this country, it was possible to find a compromise. A man could reject the Pope, oaths, the authority of the church, if he did so in his own house and was useful to the king.
So what lessons did the useful devil teach the youth?
Let it get bogged down! Keep it moving! Keep them going!
Get those horses moving! Now, you wretches!
The king sent you to babysit me then?
No! But he thought you might need a good man in a tight spot to watch your back. And if I say so myself, I'm a bit of a hard bastard in a fight.
You're also a heretic, so they say.
They say a lot of things. Why don't you wait and make up your own mind rather than borrow other men's opinions second-hand?
You speak your mind, then.
God gave me one. Not to use it would be impious, to say the least.
Perhaps you use it too much. You Lollards are causing...
Less trouble than the king's enemies in the north. We support the authority of the crown. All we ask is that our conscience is not bound by chains of state, and that we be free to worship how we will.
Then who are you bound by?
By God alone.
And the king's authority, the law?
A man's conscience is above the law, we believe, and all men stand equal before God.
You are dangerous, aren't you?
When your house is on fire, you don't call the rat catcher. Hotspur wants the throne.
We played together as children. He was older than me, but always so fiery.
Put down Hotspur and it will be finished. Treason loves to gather itself round a single banner.
The man's the banner, then?
Exactly. A leader who appears to have in him all the virtues his followers wish they had in themselves.
Something better.
Always something better to be than around us what we see.
Must kings have enemies?
If God wills it, and if there is a man with a heart to make it so, then our world can be changed.
Sounds like Camelot. You know, Richard loved books and learning.
And yet he was a flawed king.
No one ever disputed his right to the throne. Whoa. I liked him, you know. I lived in his household when I was a little child, hostage for my father. He was kind to me. We read together.
Yes.
He knighted me. To tell the truth, I liked him rather better than I did my father.
Was he a better king than your father?
That could be seen as a dangerous question.
If we are to be friends, then what other kind of questions should we ask?
But no, he wasn't. He depended on others too much. His feelings swayed him from one day to the next, and... Thomas of Earlham!
I fell, my lord! I fell! Just let me catch my donkey gang!
Come on up! Sir John, your first task in the prince's service, catch that donkey!
In your service, my lord!
Come on, Thomas.
Oh! I will make you muddy, my lord.
In this life, there's nowhere the man stops and the mud begins. We're all in it together, my friend. Come on.
Steady there! Keep steady! Don't advance until the call is sounded! Keep ranks! Do not break ranks! Hold by your standard bearer! Do not lose your position!
Well, boy, is there any finer sight? Two great armies facing one another across the field of war.
Never on earth, Father.
Yet I wish it had not been Percy and his boy over there, facing me and mine.
Their choice, not yours. You would have lived in peace. They cannot.
Aye, that's the thing of it, Hal. It always comes to this in the end. The day, the charge, the clash, the fight. That's where God makes his decision. At the point of the sword, the arrow's tip. The quick and the dead. We must be about our business. Go to your station, Prince. Show yourself to your people. God bless you and keep you.
And you, your majesty. God save the king! God save the king! God save the king! God save the king!
Two armies contending. Bowmen massed before. The king's arm, sword extended, rising. The bowmen draw. And turning day to night. Let go. A sight fearful enough to make this poor priest let go too. His bowels in utter terror, as like the black hand of God descending. Each shaft struck a mortal man. Whole ranks went down as corn before the scythe, and Hotspur's men came on like God's mower.
Hurry, hurry, man! It's the prince! He's been wounded!
In the tent!
Gently, gently! Lay him down gently!
Sir, are you hurt? Are you in pain?
I've been hit in the bloody face with a bloody arrow. What do you bloody think? Shack. God in heaven. Yes.
Hold him! Hold him! Hal, try and be still! We need to look. Where's the bloody leech?
Sir, I was called.
The prince. What can you do? Priest, keep the door.
Do something now. God damn. Hell's teeth and God bollocks.
The arrow is in deep, my lord.
Now tell me something I don't know. Is it safe to pull it out?
Entry is to the right of the nose.
I know where it is, man.
But where does it go?
It's a good quarter off the vertical, so I see it's lodged in the back of the skull.
Can't go inside. Not.
The king sends to know how the prince fares.
He lives.
Sir, can you hear me?
Of course I can bloody hear you. I'm not deaf. I'm just... God.
Sir, I must take your helm, your cloak, your sword, and your shield.
I'll be damned if you do.
Who are you, sir?
Better you do not know. It is necessary that the prince be seen alive on the front line. The battle goes hard with us. If it is thought that the prince is dead, the day may be lost.
Then I'll go. Not another man in my place.
My lord, you can't. The movement could cause bleeding damage to the mind. I dare not take the chance.
Pull it out. Take that chance, John. I'm right, aren't I?
If they need their prince, let them have him. Do not send them to heaven or hell with a lie.
Sir, you are sick. The church, I'm certain, could find it in her heart to pardon a necessary fiction. You will be king. We cannot lose you.
A king who is a liar we cannot have here. If no one else will, then let my hand do it.
No!
No, Hal. Hold steady, man. Go. It is free.
Let me see.
Help me up. Thomas, my helm. You, Sir Knight, if you wish to be of service.
I do.
Help me to my horse. John, ride with me. Be my strong right arm should I fall.
Wait! The arrow point isn't here. The shaft broke. The iron is still in the skull.
Let it stay there.
It will kill you, sir!
But not today. God's ass, give me some brandy, man. Not some brandy.
Hal!
Lead me thus wounded to the front line, so that I may, as a prince should, kindle our fighting men with deeds, not words.
Yes, madam. That's what the young prince said.
I know that look in your eye, Thomas.
Well, I know he said it, for I was there. I wrote it down. The first lines in the legend of England's Hal were mine. At the king's command.
Make it modest, priest, as befits a young man. The plain English dish, but give it...
Spice, your majesty.
That's it, so men remember and feel, for a moment, better men.
As you say, majesty. Better men.
When they were arranging my marriage, they told me this story. They said what a fine king I would be bedded by, and what a privilege it was, what a...
Does it matter, madam? After all, the words were written, they cannot be unwritten. And the king wasn't wrong. If Hal hadn't been on the field that day, it could have gone against us. When Hotspur made his great outcry...
The king is dead! The prince is down! On for Hotspur! On!
The old king was able to answer him truly above the sound of battle.
I live! The prince lives! He fights yet! The day is ours! On for England!
There was another arrow that day, shot by an unknown English archer that flew and hit another young man's face. Hotspur fell to a shaft through the throat, died in moments.
But not under the Avenging blade of Albion's heir, Christian prince beyond compare.
Not one of my better lines, but in a way, good enough.
Is good enough good enough?
The Church doesn't ask for perfection, just that we try our best.
Riddles don't suit you.
At the end of the day, the prince collapsed, more dead than alive himself.
So I can feel it. Inside my head, like an iron worm.
The leech is here.
I need light.
Hold it close. Well?
I don't know how we reach the arrowhead. And as for getting it loose...
If it doesn't come out...
It will fester and suppurate.
I'll die.
If it does not come out...
Then get it out.
I must consult among my colleagues, sir. I will call him here if I may. A second opinion, I dare not...
There is a man who might help.
I know of none close at hand.
Bradmore.
No, it is impossible.
Who is he?
He was your father's surgeon once.
He was involved in counterfeiting coin, selling favours, using his position for profit. He was condemned to death.
The king pardoned him.
You cannot consider such a man for a prince of England.
Hal, it's a chance. He's with the army. I think we should take it.
Find him.
Yes.
John, will I die? Please don't lie to me.
I will never do that. Yes, you could die. There is no certainty here for us, and we shouldn't look for it.
I'm 16 years old. There's so many things I haven't done.
Hal, if God takes us back, don't you think that what we find in heaven will be 1,000 times better than anything we could know on this world?
I don't want to die.
Now listen to me, Hal. This is important. God's grace alone can save us. There are no bargains to be made with him. It is only through his grace that we...
You bloody heretic, Oldcastle. Still spreading your poison. Sir, I'm at your command.
You are the surgeon.
Ecce homo.
Can you keep a pious tongue in your head, Bradmore?
No. But I might be able to get the iron out of his if you'll let me look at the wound. Light, please.
Well, what happened?
There's a wind rising. We've lost the best of the day, madam.
You are playing with your queen. Always a perilous move. What happened next?
The point's in deep. It won't pull free without cracking the skull. But if I can introduce a probe with a threaded end, I might screw it into the iron head and turn it free. I'll need to enlarge the passage to the wound. It'll take time. It'll hurt like the devil, no matter what we do to dull the pain.
If we do nothing?
Then you'll be a sack of shite. Good for manure and not a lot more.
John, what do I do?
What does God tell you?
I can't hear him. There's too much noise in my head. I just wanted to stop.
He gives us the gift of life. It is not for us to give it back. You must man up, Hal. I will pray.
Pray all you want, but God isn't going to reach into this boy's head and save his life. I am.
Can you do it?
Yes.
But then you're a liar and a thief.
And who would you trust to steal a bolt of iron from inside a prince's skull? A saint? I'm sorry. There is no other way but to bore into your head and make a bigger passage.
Oh, God. When it stops. Oh, God, thank you.
Thank the poppy and the man who first sucked out its juice.
God is great. Only he can. Only his grace.
You've been listening to Oldcastle, eh?
Oh, good man. Helped me, my horse, the battle.
And yet, who's helping you now? The good man? I am indubitably a bad man in the eyes of the world. Oh, hold steady, hold steady. Do you feel that?
No.
The poppy has you in her embrace for the while. What is truth in this world? I counterfeited coins very well, if I may say so. There are still many in circulation. I was good.
They were false coins.
But stand as real till men think differently. The pain comes back.
A little more poppy, please. I cannot...
It's dangerous.
Please. I beg you.
Drink. Do you think, young prince, that the poppy makes the pain go away? No. All it does is convince you for a while the pain is not real.
A necessary fiction.
What?
Someone said so. Someone was... John, are you there?
I'm here, Hal.
When is it to be?
After dawn. The light is best then.
I just want the pain to stop.
It will. One way or the other. You must be prepared to stand before your judge.
I need a priest to make my confession.
Make your confession to God. It is for him alone to hear, and he alone can grant you absolution through grace.
I've done it. The prince will live.
But how will he live, Bradmore?
You're a soldier. You know pain changes a man. Maybe, Sir John, you should pray to your heretical god for the answer. Still, the prince will survive. He is young. He has strength. The rest is not my business.
That's true enough. You've done your job. You may leave.
Will not the prince wish to thank his physician when he wakes?
Sir, priest, you spend too much of your life on your knees. No young man who has wept and shat himself and begged and whined like a whipped puppy will be glad to see the author of his shame. Even if the fellow has brought him through. I shall, as they say, make myself scarce and go to London, where the king will reward me, and then out of the country, I think, where no man will find me. Oldcastle. Goodbye. And thanks for calling on me. I know you did not want to.
It was the right thing to do.
Then I'll give a parting gift. You will not hold him, and he will not make heaven on earth for you.
Was he different?
When he awoke? Yes.
How?
I can only say that everything seemed the same, and yet somehow it was not. Something about the eyes.
Oh! Careful, Hal. If these weren't wooden, I'd have been...
If these weren't wooden, I'd never have got that close to you, John, admit it.
I never pull my blows. Just ride the attack a little before... What just happened?
You took your mind off the fight for a second, old man.
I was concerned for your strength, I admit that.
Your feelings betrayed you. If these weren't wood, you'd be dead.
Is caring a weakness, Hal?
In a fight to the death, anything except winning is a weakness. Come, again. My father wants us in Wales. There are rebels we need to deal with.
Something that had been there before was gone now. That day in the mud, when he lifted me onto his horse. Yes, he would have done so again, but he would not have laughed, and this time it would have been for the book and not for the man.
More of a king and less of a man?
That was what old Bolingbroke wanted. Over the next few years, Hal and Oldcastle carved a path of death and destruction across Wales.
Oh, enjoying the license of a soldier's life, hmm? The drinking, the fighting, the girls, all those late nights and escapades, the adventures and alarums, the wildness of youth that all the stories tell. Hmm? Thomas?
As is seemly in a young man of spirit. It's what the people want, madam.
But was it true, Sir Priest?
The coin was passed with confidence.
A necessary fiction.
You knew the man.
I told you I did not.
From what you knew, could you see a wild boy within? Oh, the rebellion was cut out of the nation as ruthlessly and efficiently as the iron needle from the prince's head.
He took his place beside the king?
In the king's council. He learned the arts of the ruler as his father intended. And as God intended, the father came to his end.
No very great ease in it, I'm told.
Some said it was God's punishment for stealing the crown. His body turned to a mass of corruption, no longer even able to keep its many parts joined as one. He lay in a cell in Westminster's cathedral.
Are you here, Hal?
I'm here, Your Majesty.
What? Stink got your tongue, is it? Look at me. Once I rode out on a fine morning with King Richard. This hand held a sword that day when we took down Tyler and his peasants. Now it's a mercy I can't see to count the fingers. How many, Hal? How many fingers?
Some fingers, Father. Can the doctors...
Do nothing, and they do it to the highest standard. Water. All I can take now. Water. Weak as piss. Stand where I can see you. Good, good. Now, crown. Put it on.
It is not seemly that I should do so.
It'll play well with the people. Put it on. Yeah, suits you. Stolen, you see. Never mine. Never ours. But you will make it so.
I swear, Father, that I will wear this crown with...
Your head. That's where it goes. As you well know. Take it off now. Priest. Are you there?
I'm here, Majesty.
I was sleeping. He entered, saw the crown, could not resist, and took it up. I woke and,
chided him with his impatience.
Good, good. Make him human, fallible, lovable, whatever it needs. Do your job. How? Come close.
I'm here.
The people never loved me. Take the crown and make it yours through their love and support. Kick French arse. Always good. They like that. The church. You'll need its strength to shepherd men's souls to your support. Crown and church. They support each other.
I can raise an army for France, but how do I buy the church?
Oh, simple. Burn the Lollards.
But you allowed them...
Don't you see yet I use them? That's all. Now leave me. It's time to die. Send in the priests.
Goodbye, Father.
No tears, Hal.
Tears buy nothing.
How is the king?
The king is dead. He just doesn't know it yet. I need to find a good man for a confession. There's much to do.
You will be king, Al. There is so much you can achieve.
Walk with me, John.
It is a great responsibility that stands before you.
It's a responsibility that walks beside me.
We've stood together in the fight enough times, guarding each other's backs.
We can be honest.
As friends must be.
You saved my life at Shrewsbury and a dozen times after.
And you mine. You've become a formidable fighter and leader of men, Hal. They follow you. They see in you something better than they have in themselves. Something better to be than around us what we see.
You said it of Hotspur.
Some men have that quality. Most do not.
Listen to me, John. If one continually fights against his brother or willfully tries to throw down the order of things, then the nation will not prosper. Each man, no matter what his station, must know there is law and structure set about him which he obeys for his own good and for the good of all. And if he must swing sword or cod, then let him do it abroad in pursuit of conquest. That is the contract between people and king.
And where does conscience stand in all this, Hal?
A king who rules by likes and dislikes may end by outlawing rats and ennobling rabbits. Conscience is just another word for what we happen to like, and this world of things has no use for it.
I do not believe that. This world is bathed in God's love and God's eternal law. And God's law tells us that...
Stop. God's law tells you, Lollards, that kings and princes have no call upon a man, that oaths are wrong, that the power of the Roman Church is as dust in the wind of centuries. I tell you it cannot be.
I tell you it is and will be time everlasting.
I don't have time everlasting. I have a few years to turn this country into a stable, strong monarchy under a traditional Plantagenet king. I'd also like to get France back. You walk with me now, or you go your own way, and you and I both know where that road will inevitably end.
My conscience must be my guide.
I would say that you might go abroad.
Oh, like the surgeon Bradmore, who you had killed in Antwerp to stop his mouth. If I must die, whenever the time comes, I would do it in England. I have an affection for the place. Do you, Hal, have an affection for anything at all on God's earth?
Goodbye, John.
I was your friend. Truly I was. Surely that means something.
The king has no friends.
So, madam, the king ruled, and continued a tradition that went back to old Henry II.
Ah, he was a Plantagenet then, not a Lancastrian.
The king is what the king is, and never what he was.
Does that mean anything at all?
It's always a devil's bargain, madam. Who better knows that than a monk? You married King Hal, but who was the man you married at Westminster Cathedral?
In the sight of Almighty God, I pronounce you man and wife. God save the king. God save the king. God save the queen. God save the queen.
The Londoners love you.
Well, they love a day off work, Majesty. They love free wine and food and something bright to look at.
No, madam. It's the greatest thing to be cheered by the crowd. It is something fine to be loved by the people, to be always remembered. They'll say, I was there on that day when Hal rode by with his French queen. By God's teeth, I truly believe that if they wanted it enough, I could fly to Heaven's Gate itself and, stealing grace, fly back too. Tell me that wouldn't be something to look at.
Is that all we are, sir? Something to look at?
Well, you are something to look at.
I'm a woman, like any other. It can hardly be a surprise to you.
You are a beautiful woman, madam. A desirable woman.
Well, the king must have had many desirable women.
Not since the night before my coronation. I swore a vow I would be celibate until I married. I have not betrayed it.
What?
I made it before a holy man who had lived in a cell in the abbey for 50 years, it was said.
Did he even know what celibate meant?
I don't think he even knew that the old king had died, who I was, where we were, or that I'd just given him my confession. It doesn't matter. The vow was made to God and overheard conveniently by a prelate who informed the bishop.
In France, a king who doesn't joust is hardly considered a king at all.
French kings spend their days running from Englishmen. How they spend their nights is not my concern. Besides, it stood me in good stead with the people who mattered in the church.
I don't understand.
It's not necessary that you do, madam.
Well, and for this good opinion, you denied yourself for 7 years.
Just so.
But it's not human nature, sir.
This world of kings and queens is not about human nature.
What, then?
You are getting cold in your shift. Goose pimples. The enemy of love in England. Shall we get to it?
Get to it, sir. I'm not a mare to be bred.
In this world, that's just what we are. Mares and stallions, to get sons, to get more sons, to make a strong and stable monarchy. Do you prefer the French position or the English?
I can assure you, sir, I will find no pleasure in this beyond that of doing my duty.
The English, then. And if it is of any help to you, I find no more pleasure in it than you do.
I cannot know this!
Oh, it is all right, Sir Priest. I have no more. Oh, you may take your hands from your ears. My husband did not enjoy the game of... How do you English call it?
I cannot name it.
The two-backed beast. It was a duty to him, I think. A king needs a son. I often wonder if he had seen his child, if he might have smiled. Or even loved him. Oh, come now, Thomas. They didn't geld you when they priested you. Did they?
Sir John Oldcastle, madam.
Ah, the devil again.
He walked his own path. But in this country, and under the flag of rebellion and vile heresy.
I was in London. Hal came to me that night. But not for love, Thomas.
Sire. The Queen. Where is she? Quickly, man.
Sir.
Are you ready to travel, madam?
I can be. But why?
Because the King tells you so. Call your women.
Do you ever get off your horse, sir? Because I can tell you, a man in a bedchamber on a horse presents to many eyes a ridiculous spectacle.
I'm not on a horse.
Quickly now, dress me. I know you're not on a horse. I can see that with my own eyes.
French wit, then. I have no time for laughs, Catherine. There is insurrection. I fear for my son.
But not your wife?
A man would as well fight a hornet's nest naked as tangle with the Queen of England. Come, madam, I do not mean...
Hornets?
Flying insects. Rather beautiful in their way.
Yes, I know
but
what
with a
hornets are, sir.
I meant it as a compliment. There are forces out there, they want to bring me down, bring down the throne and holy church. I shall take you to Westminster, the Tower.
Well, don't your prisoners usually end up in the Tower?
A coach is waiting. There is little time, we must hurry. Why do women have so many clothes? For the Lord's sake, I can be out of my cot and ready for battle in minutes.
Well, if you'd rather I dressed in hose and doublets, sir, I would be happy to...
No, it would not be suitable at all.
Well, then there is your answer. Will you wait below? I shall be quicker if I can concentrate.
Of course.
You know, some men appreciate a woman's clothes, sir. They even enjoy removing them at moments of love and intimacy.
Stop there! I say stop!
Whoa!
Who goes this way? Are you a friend or an enemy of the truth?
Stand back, sir. We are on the King's business.
I am the King's friend. We're all King's men here this night.
Oh, so you say, Oldcastle. I say you are traitors to the King.
What's happening?
Stay in the coach, Majesty.
Does the Queen go with you? I must speak with
You
her.
cannot. We are on the King's business.
And we are on the business of the King of Heaven. I will talk with the lady.
John Oldcastle! You will not!
How? You took your time to show yourself.
Sir, you are in peril of your life here.
By you and whose army, Hal? You have not the men with you. I do. You are out-horsed and out-weaponed tonight. Best let me have my say.
Your say is treason.
The truth is never treason.
The King says what is true.
Now, Hal, you know that's bollocks. We can talk.
We have talked.
Not as we used to, as friends. Hal, I was your friend. I still am, if you'll let me be.
That's easy, then. You know what you have to do, John. Abjure your heresy and submit to Rome. Here, now.
If I did, I would not be worth your friendship.
Then I have only this to say, old friend.
Oh!
The King is never out-horsed and never out-weaponed. Surrender or...
For God and the true religion! On! On!
The King had said it would end only one way. And as to the end, I believe you were there on that day.
I was close, but I did not care to see what had to be done. A bitter, cold December day, I remember.
Sharp enough to geld a ram.
Madam, they tell me you do not wish to accompany your husband to St. Giles Fields this morning.
They tell you correctly, sir. The king must go alone.
Is the Queen indisposed?
Indisposed to seeing a man put naked into an iron cage and slowly roasted to death in front of a baying crowd. A man who was your friend.
A man who is a heretic and has waged war against the crown. He allowed himself to be taken alive. That was a mistake.
Well, perhaps he had a purpose.
Do you know what makes a man dangerous, Catherine?
Anger, hatred, the desire for conquest, revenge.
None of these so much as a true heart. Beware the man who believes what he tells you and tells you what he believes.
He was your friend!
I gave him a friend's chance, even after his treachery. I did not ask him to recant. To go away was enough. But he would not, because he believed... I don't know what he believed. Do you believe in things, Catherine?
I believe I love my God. I believe I will love this child I carry. I love my sisters and my father, poor deluded man, when he's sane, and perhaps even more so when he's mad.
Maybe my father was right.
How so?
Maybe I was a changeling, a fairy child swapped for a human. You will not come.
How can you bear it, Hal? To see a brave man naked and screaming in a cage.
It's the king's job. It's what we do. Oh, raisins from Turkey.
What?
They're very good. I'll have some sent up to you.
Later that morning, I listened to John Oldcastle's screams carry through the frozen air from St. Giles Fields. He was a strong man, and they went on for a very long time. I dare say he wanted to die like a knight and a true believer in dignity and stoic silence. Hal could have had him killed before the agony. But perhaps he felt it was necessary to ensure a lesson was learned by whatever heretics remained.
A lesson?
Once, you know, Thomas, once we danced. Yes. Hal and his lady. There was a celebration. Oh, for the murder of Agincourt. And every year they danced on the grave of France. 5 years that night. The great of England gathered.
Madam, you complain there is no gaiety and laughter at my court. Are you pleased tonight?
I'm pleased at the occasion, sir. Not so pleased at the occasion of it.
You are being contrary.
Perhaps I'm being French.
Are we not beyond all that now?
I don't understand you.
One nation, one king.
Why do you want it so much?
What? Because it is ours.
By what right? Force of arms?
History makes it ours. It belonged to Henry II when he took England.
And before that, who did it belong to?
Someone else, I agree. But marriages and circumstances made it ours.
But you're not even a true Plantagenet.
And yet I have the throne. Thus the logic of it. The king is Plantagenet. Hal is the king. Therefore Hal is Plantagenet.
I'm hot. I'd like some air.
Do you want a robe?
What I want is to know why so many Frenchmen had to die. I mean, is it really because old Henry had it and John lost it and so on through a forest of Henrys and Edwards ever since? It is not a weakness to give your wife a reason, Hal.
It's plain enough, Catherine. Because it is necessary.
You said that before. I still don't understand.
This country is many things, many estates. The nobles, the church, the merchants, the farmers, and the people of low domain and of no domain. Kings may rule by God's command, but God doesn't do the paperwork. In truth, they rule because they keep the nation safe and busy. Give people a task, and there's little time for other questions, such as who rules and why, and should they rule at all, and would I make a better ruler?
To make men busy. That's it.
Part of it, it's not a simple game. Imagine chess on 100 boards played at once. War, say, can gain valuable territory and bring in money, which is always short, give great satisfaction to those low urges of men to stamp on one another, provide a king with the chance to gather a nation around a leader who appears to have all the virtues they do not. Something better to be than around us what we see. You simply can't have men and women running around doing as they will, as they wish, as they believe to be right. It would be herding cats.
But you yourself, Hal, what do you want? I see you dancing. You smile, you jump and turn and bow to the music, and all the time I see not a man, but one who apes the motions of a man.
You should remember, madam, that even queens are not inviolate.
Will you lock me in the tower? I ask because I wish to know.
The king has no business with weakness. Anything that makes him as other men must be hollowed out, removed by the surgeon of expediency.
All things to all men, and in the end nothing to me. Is expediency enough? Does it pay for John Oldcastle's screams as he died?
Who's John Oldcastle?
He left for France the next morning, and died there a year later. He never saw his son.
So, madam, we have reached the tower. And I end our walk as I began, with the question, what do you want?
John Oldcastle said Hal had a quality that few men do. He could make them wish.
Something better to be than around us what we see.
Was the quality the man? Or was it merely the juice of the poppy, enough to make us believe the pain has gone away?
The Surgeon Bradmore would have said, does it matter?
Oldcastle would have said, before God, it does. Thomas, my son, Hal's son, is a babe in arms. But I want him to be a king in full. A king to whom it does matter. And for that, he needs a legacy. A father who was a man, living, loving, grieving, laughing, and above all things, caring. Do you understand?
Perfectly, madam. You want a great king with a great heart, who did good for the sake of God and man, and because, above all things, it was good. Necessary fictions.
That will give birth to a great and true king. Henry VI of England.
In Henry V, True Believers, Hal was played by Luke Treadaway, Catherine by Lydia Leonard, Thomas of Earlham by James Lailey, and Sir John Oldcastle by Nicky Henson. Henry IV was Paul Moriarty, Badby, Simon Bubb, and Bradmore, Carl Prekopp. Other parts were played by Rikki Lawton, Gerard McDermott, and Christopher Webster. Plantagenet is written by Mike Walker and produced by Jeremy Mortimer and Sasha Yevtushenko. Plantagenet by Mike Walker. Henry VI, a simple man.
Richard, Duke of York, sometime Regent of England, sometime rebel and traitor. I loved the England Hull gave into our care. I hated what became of it. I'm no thinker or priest. I'm a man of action, so that's what I did. I acted.
My Lord of York, what do you want here?
Madam, I'm your servant. I did not wish to startle you.
And yet you are armed.
Old soldiers, madam. We tend to be forgetful. But our hearts are in the right place.
But your swords are not. Nor is your loyalty.
Don't question my loyalty to England.
And to its lawful king.
It all starts with a boy, young Henry VI of England. God knows, the prince's father was all a king should be. But like apple pips, you plant them and you've no idea what'll grow. A fruit as sweet as the tree that fathered it, or something bitter to the taste.
Look at them, Harry. All those people. Now, I know for a little fella like you, it must all be a bit overwhelming. Here, up on my shoulders. Tell you the truth, sometimes I think that too. All those ships, carrying English wool to the continent, carrying their goods to London, all the shops and the shopkeepers. And what can't you buy on London Bridge? Buy 100 sheep, a chased dagger, a pretty... Oh, hey, what about some honey plums? Where does the plum come from? And the honey? What? You don't like honey? You don't like plums? What do you like, lad? I mean, apart from praying. And your mother. You've got to put in the hard hours, Harry. It's not on the battlefield or in the council that a king learns his craft, but in the cold early morning when he studies alone or trains with sword and quintain. And there's not a squire in the nation who hasn't had a good beating. So shake my hand, lad, and we'll go over your books again. And then we'll get some good exercise with sword and buckler.
And he told me that he didn't really like the idea of fighting the French. That he thought war was not a very good idea when there was a chance of peace.
What do you mean you don't like war? War? I mean, good God, what kind of boy are you?
Of course God wants us to have France, Harry. We all remember your father. Great man, great king. Unified this country, reclaimed France. But the cost in lives, in money. And now they're beginning to think about kicking back. There's this girl, Joan. Edward, Cardinal Beaufort, great-uncle to the young king. This is 1420 to 23, when the boy Harry is coming into his majority. There were some of us, tell the truth, quite a lot of us, Pole, Suffolk, my brother Somerset, who began to feel York and Warwick, that damned Warwick, had too much land, too much money, and a sight too much ambition. There wasn't a man on the council who didn't know York thought he had as much right to rule as Henry. Not that he wasn't a good administrator. He was. If he'd been a fool, there would have been no risk. But a man can never have too much power, and there was always something between those two, York and Warwick, something dark, like a pike, sliding out of the bankside shadows, and they say a pike's teeth, once they grip, never let go.
Cardinal, you are a holy man, a true believer, and a great comfort to me.
I hope so, sir. You have many tribulations to face, as a new king.
You see, I was thinking about...
You must understand, Harry. There are temptations for a young man coming into his power. Nasty, flirty temptations, with flashing eyes and white ankles and silky skirts and witchy little giggles and red lips. But it is wrong. It is not God's wish, it is Satan's path to sin. Turn your back on temptation until God provides you with a virtuous wife and England with a queen.
Actually, I don't really feel much temptation for the lust of the body. It seems a lot of fuss about nothing. All those squires rushing round after their lady loves with poems and songs.
France, France, France. France was as much a part of England as dog shite in the hall. Only Henry VI didn't see it that way. We knew he wouldn't, because his favourites, Somerset and the Cardinal, the peace party, didn't. They were soft men all. What have the English got to do with peace? Huh? War made us strong. We were made for war.
It's an unholy mess, cousin.
My bloody cooks could make a better foreign policy than this. Even yours could, Warwick.
Leave my cooks out of it.
Wish I could.
You should get a Venetian like me.
I don't have your appetite for dainties, York, but that hardly matters. Policy in France does. We're losing more territory with every full moon.
At least we fried the witch, Joan.
She wasn't the problem. It's the Dauphin. That sneaky little bastard Louis. Have you met him?
On occasion.
And did you count your fingers after clasping hands?
Well, he's a Frenchman.
Yeah, he's a very, very clever Frenchman, cousin. He could play find the pea with any 10 of the King's advisors and still win with a pea under every cup. They're already calling him the Universal Spider, and they're not wrong. That boy will geld us all if we're not careful.
And the King sticks with his own people and doesn't consult us. Uses us when he needs. But they tell me he prays ceaselessly for peace.
We may hope that once his new queen arrives, he'll have something else to take up his time, and we'll be able to move.
I wouldn't hold out too many hopes in that direction, cousin. He's been a king a dozen years, and I happen to know there's not been one mistress. It's bloody Beaufort and his snake in the hose bollocks. Kind of boy is it that doesn't want to shag everything that moves and half of what doesn't?
Henry's dad was the same.
Henry's dad was a man and a great man.
Oh, you'll get no argument from me, and you're right. Time was when Plantagenet and Porkin were virtually the same word. Now the boy would rather be on his knees in front of a missile than a miss.
Well, times change.
We lose much more territory in France, and that's not all that'll change. The people won't stand for it.
Have a care. Words have a way of... Oh,
what is it?
Dog shite.
Yes, that has a way of sticking to a man, too.
I was 14 years old. They say he wanted to marry me. They say he told his people, bring back pictures, I want a pretty one. I suppose he must have, because he got nothing more from me than me.
Margaret of Anjou, Your Majesty. From all I have heard, an obedient, humble maid.
In England, they said, he's got a French princess not worth 10 marks. They weren't wrong. My father was broke.
She has not much of a portion.
That's because we already own her father's country, sir. But I'm sure...
We could give some back. That would be a gesture of peace, to show how we intend our reign should be.
I'm certain it could be arranged through treaty.
I wish, above all things, Cardinal, to be a peacemaker. Our Lord Jesus called men and women to be brothers and sisters, to love each other and to forgive, and always to turn the other cheek. Love, Cardinal, is all we need in this world, and I believe if we want it enough, there will be brotherhood and amity between nations, between all men. And, yes, I'd really like to be married.
Obedient, humble, not so much. When I was a child, they called me the little creature. And it wasn't a pet name either. My father couldn't give us a portion. But he did give us an education and a court full of brilliant, witty people. Hopelessly bankrupt, of course, and Anjou and Maine. Rich land, highly productive. And they used to be ours, and so why not swap the little creature for...
Anjou and Maine? God's holy bollocks! Are the Starks staring mad in London?
First the bloody Maid of Orleans, and now the bloody Maid of Anjou. One more bloody French maiden will be stark bollocking landless over there.
Do they want to give it all away, or are they simpletons?
I tried to do my best. Henry says, Uncle, go and fight the French if you must, protect our possessions, show the flag. But they keep me short of everything. I'm raising my own men, buying my own supplies. When there is money, it goes to one of Henry's people. Bloody Somerset gets a pension, supplies. And all he does is lose battles. I'll win them. What's wrong with this king?
My lord, place the ring on your bride's thumb and say...
In the name of the Father.
On her first finger and say...
In the name of the Son.
On her second finger and say...
In the name of the Holy Ghost.
On her third finger and say...
Amen.
It was not about France, it was about England. The Duke of Somerset had seen enough of war. So had my Harry. They knew France would never rest until it had become whole again. They were realists and they knew how the future must be. The old men of the north, these Warwicks and Yorks, they were an impossible romantic past. The only problem, the English people themselves. They loved conquest. Oh, they hated the taxes, the loss of husbands and brothers and sons. They would not pay the price, and yet they demanded the prize. And as for the little creature...
Oh, Lord.
The prize she got...
As it be thy gracious will, give me this night thy strength.
You may leave me, with my husband, ladies.
All glory to thee. Shower blessings in thy great mercy, and thy boundless, sainted mother's rest.
Henry.
To the pure in heart, all things are
Husband.
pure. For thy great
My dear
glory.
husband. Harry!
My dear,
Wife.
Yes, of course, my Margaret.
Is there something you would like to say to me, husband?
I hope it's not cold for you. In that robe. Sleeping,
It is a very thin robe. See? Of purest silk. My maids tell me it flows like warm water.
Perhaps a gown, if you are chilly.
Does a wife need a gown when she has the love of her husband to light her fires?
It was a long day, wasn't it? All those songs and the parade and the...
Harry, may I make myself open to you?
Yes, we are, we...
Man and wife, king and queen. And as such, it is our duty to populate the earth. And if we are to do so, we must engage in the love of the body, which my teachers tell me mirrors the love of the divine, but is here and now, and from all I have been led to believe, is not unpleasant.
But I am concerned that you are young. Yes, you are a young girl yet, Margaret, and...
I am 15, and I believe as well-formed as any maid. Look, is there anything wrong here? Is everything in the right place?
Yes, I think so.
And does the king approve of what he sees in his wife?
You
Indeed. Aristotle would agree we are in the fourth category of things said and things present. Very much so, Harry.
What?
Oh, your feelings are clear to me, husband. As the Greek, the other one says, you stand like a man carrying a candle in the high wind.
Oh, Satan's son. I mean, the body.
So why don't you take a nibble of your French sweetmeat?
Actually, I don't really have a sweet tooth.
Ugh.
She break pressure!
7 years married and no child.
7 years married and no child.
Queen Baron?
Has the field been tilled and the seed planted? Is this really what Beaufort and Somerset want? They must know, if there's no successor, then there is a successor here in Yorkshire.
No, it must not be said. I'm a loyal servant of the Crown, Warwick.
As long as there's a crown to be loyal to. Henry and his Lancastrian advisors have managed to lose or give away most of our possessions in France. Think of that, cuz. An English king letting our finest jewels slip from his limp hands.
Limp hands, limp cod, limping monarch, and the bastard still owes me £30,000 from my time in France.
Maybe he needs better advisors.
There's the council.
There's more. London and the people. They know who you are, York. A loyal servant, yes, and a warrior who has never backed down from a fight in his life, compared to a king who has never been in a fight in his life. We've got muscle in the north, cousin. I think we need to start flexing it.
I was not barren, and the king was not incapable. Those who say otherwise are liars for their own advantage. Oh, it took time for the little creature to realize that this king was, in many ways, even younger than she was. And to tell the truth, she was a little creature with sharp teeth. But time passed and changed them both. and there was love and loving, but no blessing of a child. They don't understand those who say he was a weak king who did not know his own mind. He knew his mind. It is just what he wanted so passionately was so impossible for them to understand. Not one of them could recognize the great idea in his heart, even though it was Christ's message preached to them every Sunday of their lives. Because in their own ways they were all small men who could not see over the walls of their own castle keep. Majesty?
Tell your women to go. To go, now.
What is it?
He's coming. To London.
Who?
York! He's coming to...
London, you said. It's the council, Harry. He's a member. He must come. You have summoned him. He often comes.
No, I don't want him.
Then you must dismiss him.
But I can't.
You're the king. It's your council. Sit down, have some wine.
You don't understand, Margaret. He's been a good servant, and... I mean, he's a knight and all that stuff. He wins battles, and he's angry.
Suppose he has been a good servant. He is still a servant, and he must obey or be called a rebel. And then he loses his land and his titles. It is all quite clear and simple.
No, you don't understand. It isn't simple at all. It's terrible. He's putting his own people onto the council. They'll be against me.
The Cardinal and Somerset are for you, Harry. There are people, they will support you because you are the king and you are right.
But they say...
What do they say?
That he has an army, and he will put me down.
Who says these things? Harry, who?
Everyone. Whispering, chattering, like bees abuzz.
Shh! Now come to me. Lay your head on my lap. Is that better, my sweet?
Who are you to bring armed men to this city?
I, a simple soldier.
Simple, my arse!
Not quite the words I expect here from a cardinal's mouth.
Don't play games here, York.
I can assure you, my lord of Somerset, this is no game.
You're right. The king and this council has a mind to issue an attaint against you.
Oh, the king would need good cause, Somerset. There is none. I am loyal, and rather more... loyal! Rather more to the point, efficient. In case you don't understand, that means I do exactly what I say I'll do. Unlike some whose promises are spit on a griddle.
I can assure you, the king knows who his good servants are, and who they are not.
Yes. And the little queen, Somerset, does she know exactly who serves her the best?
York, you trespass on our goodwill. We speak in the king's name and in the king's council. Curb your tongue or lose it.
I simply ask, where is the king in his council? Can he not speak for himself?
It was strange during that council sitting. All over the city badges appeared. The Duke of York sign, here, there, and everywhere. They were torn down by our people every morning, but there they were again, the next night.
I speak with the king's full confidence.
Yes. Well, I hear you would rather speak from the king's bed.
You dare not say such words!
You dare not fight me for them!
Aren't we beyond that bully boy swagger by now?
It is no secret, York. You have your eye on the throne.
Pardon. If I had wanted the throne, I would have taken it. I am, let me say it again, no more than a loyal servant.
Then act like it and remove your forces from the city.
Loyal servant of His Majesty.
This is His Majesty's council.
And not of His Majesty's dog.
He's coming. He's coming.
You must be strong, Harry.
But he's so terrible. So terrible.
And then?
I saw the king.
Well?
God knows, because I don't. Oh, I talked to him. We used to talk, you know, when he was a boy, all the time. Very chattery little fella, but now... We just kept looking at her.
The Maid of Anjou.
I said we should be alone, and for a moment, there was something there. He sent her away.
Go on.
I laid it all out. The loss of France, the refugees from over there taking housing, jobs, the breakdown of law and order throughout England. I told him Jack Cade and his people were not an isolated occurrence. There are armed bands of thieves everywhere. Anarchy is raising its head. And the people demand leaders they can trust to rule efficiently. I told him plain work. I said, men like you and I don't need to be corrupt. We've got more than enough. What we want is what is right for the country.
How did that go down?
He listened to me. He sat there an age, thought it through. And he said yes. Somerset to be arrested. The Cardinal and the Lancastrian party to be set aside. A new parliament called and a new council. Myself announced as the heir, so long as there is no child. The programme of national reconstruction and the implementation of a workable law and order policy.
And France?
France must wait for a better time or a better king. We at least have something to build on for now.
And something to drink to.
Harry?
I gave it to him. All of it. Everything he wanted. Oh, Margaret, my Margaret.
Be calm, my love. Tell me.
Somerset, the Cardinal, all of our people to be out and all of his to be in, and I am to name him my heir. And he will...
Listen, my love. It was only words, and words can be brushed away with a kiss.
You are not angry.
Angry solves nothing. No. We must think our way out of this maze. Somerset...
To the Tower.
No, Somerset is our best friend. Let him go to be governor of Calais. It holds the only garrison of English troops left in France. He will be strong for us there.
The new council.
We can unsettle them with offers of position and land. The most important thing of all is an heir. We must have an heir. Because until we do, we are vulnerable. Do you understand?
There's no fool like an old fool. I thought we had an agreement, me and Henry. Damn it, we shook hands. And I looked into his eyes and I swear he meant it when he said it. He meant it when he said it.
What was it? How did it come upon him? Witchcraft? Magic? God knows, but my Harry simply stopped.
They said one morning, there he was, frozen, silent, unable to lift a spoon or wipe his own arse. No words, no signs, nothing.
The body lived, breathed, but the spirit, the man, had gone. Nothing.
Some bewitchment of the king.
Nothing.
Grandfather was mad like a dog.
As if struck to stone.
Nothing.
The Queen is with child.
Lost his brains through his cod.
A regency must be installed.
But who?
Won't have Somerset.
Nothing.
The Queen is big with child.
Whose child, I say?
Nothing.
I present to this council a bill of 5 points which stand on ancient precedent and state that a queen may be her husband's regent should the occasion arise.
If we must, then York is the man. Or there is no man who can hold all factions together. It is a bitter dish.
The Queen.
Is pregnant and has no blood to spare for thinking.
The Queen.
If that bitch gets her hands on power, then it will be war. It's York or nothing.
A healthy son! God be praised!
The King has an heir.
Lancaster is saved.
York is lost.
I seek only to do my duty and rule in the name of the king and of the queen.
And of the Queen, who is the mother of the next King of England.
The mother of Somerset's bastard whelp.
I have a son.
A beautiful little boy. Almost a year old now. Your heir, Harry. Our very own baby boy.
His name? What did you call him?
I called him Edward. A good name, I think.
How long?
A year.
So long.
Where were you, Harry?
Another country? Gone away? I don't know. I remember only sending Somerset to Calais and the new council, and then nothing. Nothing more, a great silence after. Bees. I shall keep bees. They are good. They make honey. I like bees. They are busy.
Here, my love. Hold your son. And we will make honey for our baby boy of Lancaster.
While the king was, let's say it like it was, mad, we were able to put a break on things. We scotched the Queen's scheme to become regent, and Somerset and the Cardinal were out, if not quite down for good. Parliament was at least sensible that the country needed stability if we were going to grow. It needed something else too. Money, which we didn't have.
Listen to me. Listen to me. We've looked. We've examined the exchequer.
Yes?
Our clerks have spent hours, days, weeks tracking down and noting every item of expenditure. Pulling in any and all credit that's available. And there is nothing.
Then where's it gone? Yes, where is it?
My Lord of Lawton stands as our representative. There is no money. Spent on useless military expeditions by the king's favourites. Spent on grants and lands to the king's favourites. Spent on mismanagement by the king's favourites. And I don't have to tell any one of you landowners or merchants in this house that it's a damn sight more expensive to run a business badly than well. Good money will chase after bad.
We needed time to balance the budget and start rebuilding. But what we got was...
All rise for His Majesty. God save the King.
God save the King.
We present to this house, to our loyal subjects, a son, a prince of the House of Lancaster, a bright light for a brighter future of peace between warring parties. Let dissension be put aside for amity and love. God save the prince.
God save the prince.
God save the prince.
Warring parties. He thinks that's warring parties.
What will you do?
Well, you know what they say. In the end, it always comes down to the edge of a sword, the point of an arrow. War isn't a grand pastime for dukes in France anymore. It's become an instrument of policy in England.
If that's so, God help us all.
Look back, cousin, over history. Who prospers and who falls away? Better a bad king than a weak one. Warwick, there must be authority in a nation, or there is no nation.
My friend, I think you should get aboard and set sail for the north whilst you still can.
Aye. We'll celebrate Christmas as we may, because I've got a feeling it's going to be a long season before we see peace and goodwill again.
God save the King.
God save the King.
Sit, all of you, at our table, and let us celebrate the birth of the Christ child, who brought a new message of hope to mankind and taught us to turn the other cheek and forgive our enemies.
I fear, Majesty, that forgiving York may be like freeing a mad dog. The wiser course...
At Christmas, we must forgive.
And yet keep our eyes on that dog, and that whole pack of dogs, my lord.
As always, madam, your wisdom, your beauty, take us by the hand and lead us to our improvement.
Somerset, it is a delight to see you free and in your proper place. My Lord of York would have said something like, Lord of French Bull. Rubbish.
But all has been set right again. York is not a bad man.
Harry, you don't think there are any bad men? I swear you'd have forgiven Judas himself.
He had his part to play in the passion of our Lord.
His Majesty sets an example for us all.
Then, let's eat. Why aren't people eating?
Steward, you are keeping the king and his guests waiting. Steward!
Majesty?
Well? Where is the food? the wine, that we may celebrate this holy season.
And the fall of York.
Forgive me, Majesty, that there is none.
None?
No, Your Majesty.
No food?
No, Your Majesty.
No wine?
No, Your Majesty.
Have a care, Sir Steward, if you hope to live this night through. Why is there no food and no wine?
Answer the Queen, damn you.
There is, no money. The royal household has no... I'm sorry, sir, madam, I do not, no, money.
It became clear to me that the situation was becoming unmanageable.
The Queen began to move, pulling in potential allies, making promises, alliances. Yes, she could hardly do otherwise in the circumstances, but in the circumstances, it was the worst possible thing to do. The situation could only escalate. She moved, we had to move.
Whilst Lancaster prepared, the Lancastrian king prayed. It is hard for many to understand, but His Majesty wanted peace above all things, and though he came to see the necessity of building a strong wall around the monarchy, I do not think he ever truly believed there could be a military solution. It was not a view generally held.
The body reflects the head that sits upon it and directs its actions. Simply, if the head is sick, weak, unable to rule, then the body will be in disarray. Men did not always agree with old Bolingbroke or young Hal, but by God they obeyed, and England was strong.
We knew that if York gained power, they would reopen the campaigns in France, hoping by those means to gain support of the people and mend the exchequer with French treasure. Harry was right when he said York was not a bad man, or even a bad regent, but that was not our choice, and God doesn't ordain regents, he ordains kings, and God help me, I had my king and my son, and therefore must have my side. The king summoned a great council at Leicester.
Council, God's blessings and the blessings of peace. Amen.
Amen. We thank you, my lords, for your loyal presence in this our council. We pray with the Archbishop for the blessings of peace.
It's gone beyond that, Your Majesty.
You will have your say, gentlemen, and believe me, our minds are as one in these matters. So be silent, all of you. Are you so ready to go down the path of war?
There's no other way. They will not listen.
I will listen to any man who professes peace before I give a moment's consideration to him who counsels war. Our Lord told us to turn the other cheek and forgive our enemy.
But not when he has his hands round your throat and his knee in your buttocks.
He has a point, sir. You should listen to his opinion. It's the voice of the people.
This country isn't ruled by the voice of the people, but by the king's command. Cardinal.
Well said, sir, and God knows, we all know, you fought for peace throughout your reign.
Well said, Somerset.
And we know, do we not, with what reluctance you now find yourself picking up the shield and sword of your mighty Plantagenet forebears to defend the truth and the common people of this realm.
I could hear their cheers from here, Harry.
They were cheering for war.
They were cheering their king.
Margaret, I know little enough of matters military, but I do know that once we lead an army into the field, we will have rung a bell which can never be unrung.
Still, you can't see it. You are the king. It's your army. You can do what you want and take it where you want. It's your right.
I am the king.
Then for once in your life, Harry, be the man your father would have been.
But you see, in the end, I can't help feeling that if God wanted it so, then 2 and 2 could be 3, or 5, or any number the divine cared to make it. Perhaps we could call a day of love, when all parties come together and find common cause in our shared humanity and submission to God. The wind's rising out there. Clouds coming from the north.
It's only weather, Harry. That's all. Now look at me. What do you see?
My queen. The woman I love.
And the mother of your son. As Bolingbroke passed the throne to Hal of England, and he to Harry VI, so you will pass it on to our son. Destiny and dynasty, all are yours if only you are strong. Or do you really want to kneel before your cousin Richard of York and say, take it, take this crown, because he will if you don't stop him?
God save the King! We call upon our subjects of York and Warwick, of Norfolk and Salisbury, and all those who support their treasonous aims, to present themselves in humility and contrition before the great council at Westminster by the 21st of May, this year of our Lord, 1455, there to receive our justice as we shall see fit to give it.
What does he say?
We're summoned to a council in London.
So what do you intend to do?
Go, of course. You don't refuse a royal summons.
They'll be waiting for you, and this time they'll have swords.
Well, I did think about inviting some friends along too.
Aye, why not? Let's make it a Yorkshire day out, shall we?
It's time we ended this.
The king?
He's still the king.
Yeah, as long as we say so.
I don't want it, Warwick.
We'll see, cousin.
That's half the bloody problem, isn't it? We're all bloody cousins in this war.
But war there will be.
Oh, yes. War.
Warwick! You damn traitor! Look at this! Look at what you've done! You and your damn rebel!
Me? Look at what you've done to this country! You and your pack of policemen!
We have supported lawful authority!
We have supported natural justice!
You have overthrown...
You, Somerset, have forgotten your guard!
Your Majesty, I protest my loyalty, my devotion to the throne, to your crown, to you. This army I lead, this is your army. The other army, believe me, is a traitorous army. We have your best interests at heart.
The Queen got away.
The Queen got away.
She's a better man than me, York. She won't go down as easily. You'll see.
Your Majesty, quickly, there's no time to spare.
The king?
Lives. We must go.
Take care of the prince. He is our future.
The king is indisposed. His mind finds itself lost in darkness again. So great is his grief at the strife that has fallen upon this divided nation. I do not, have never sought the throne for myself, but wish only to oversee the administration of the state until the king is well again. The Queen? No one knows where the Queen is. Long live the king.
I come to you as the cruelly wronged queen of a captured king, held against his will. I seek nothing for myself, but only justice for the true line of Lancaster, for the little prince, for the future. Long live the king!
Long live the king!
The king is still sick?
Still sick.
They say you told him of Somerset's death in a manner calculated not to calm an anxious spirit.
They?
The Queen says.
The Queen makes trouble whilst we make the country better. At least we begin to mend things.
The conclusion seems obvious.
I do not want to be king.
Which is probably what qualifies you most. Apart from your descent, which is better than his.
Not whilst the king lives, and I'm not prepared to have his death on my conscience, are you?
Bolingbroke did it when it had to be done.
Bolingbroke had bollocks of iron, maybe I don't.
I tell you this, York. While the king lives, the Queen must plan. Choice becomes limited in times like these. If the king recovers, there are those, many of them, who will stand by his banner, if only because they will not stand by ours.
God be praised! The king is well.
Again?
And, in the name of the council, thanks his cousin of York for his great effort as regent and says his good servant may now depart in peace to a well-earned rest.
There's much still to do, Cardinal.
But not by you, sir.
I say the king needs good servants.
I say the king will choose his own servants, and he does not choose you. Do you obey the king? Tell us all, in the hearing of all. Do you obey the King of England, or will you choose rebellion again?
The Queen got away.
The Queen got away.
I learned something very important after Northampton. When the news came, I was at a manor house in a small village. My people had gone to find if the king was safe. The prince and I made ready to leave. I had one man with me, a trusted and long-time servant. Edward, you must dress warm. It's cold and wet out there. Come. John, are the horses ready?
Ready or not, makes no difference to me.
There's no time. We must leave now. They will have men out searching for us.
But let's save them the trouble then.
What are you saying, John?
From all I heard, half your bloody side turned their coats once they knew who'd want a day. And to my mind, what is good for the master is just as good for the men. I give them you and the brat here, and they'll give me a bloody knighthood if I want it.
There's treasure here, John. If loyalties are to be bought, I should have a chance to bargain in that market, shouldn't I?
Listen, lady. A little thing like you would blow away in a dog's fart. No bargains. I take the gold and I deliver you alive or dead. It's no difference to me. No one to say otherwise.
This says otherwise.
Wouldn't prick a maid's finger with that.
If you did, she'd die in 20 beats of her heart. It's a queen's goodbye, John Clegger. Italian poison. It scratches and you're dead. And no one to say otherwise.
French bitch.
Edward, go to the stables. Now! You fancy your chances, John? There's the gold. You can go for it, or you can go for me. Are you a gambling man? Are you feeling lucky tonight?
Get out. Get out!
We rode to Wales to the castle of Harry's half-brother, Jasper Tudor. There we were safe for the time, but I had learned that you are never safe forever. And you can never trust even those you think to trust the most. All men are false when luck or chance provide occasion to fill their wallets or employ their pricks.
The Queen's out.
Let her go.
I'd love to, cousin, if she'd go quietly, but she won't. You do see it, don't you? Something in this game has to change, or the advantage will flow back and forth forever, like the tide. You know the king will never rule as a king ought.
And you know I will never kill a king whilst he is a king.
And yet kings don't live forever.
Yes, he's sickly, but even so.
What about your boy, Edward March? He's got a smart head on young shoulders. He's a fighter, looks good, can deliver a speech, or, I suspect, an endearment to a lady. He's you, but with 30 years' advantage, and a good claim.
It might bring the parties together at that. A Lancastrian king hands onto a Yorkist heir, both descended from John of Gaunt. Would you buy it?
They say what?
Henry to rule until death, then York's boy March to be heir.
And our son, my son, the Prince of Wales, what do they say of him?
No mention of him.
Cardinal Beaufort, you might be able to lie to God, but by God you cannot lie to me. If you are a friend to loyalty and to the king...
I am, madam, and my whole family. We have died in your service.
Then spit it out, old friend, before you choke on it!
They say the prince is, forgive me, a bastard.
They do.
They do.
And the king?
Your Majesty, these demands of York's are too much. Yes. You cannot give away what is in God's gift to a ward. Yes. The crown is anointed by heaven, not Yorkshire.
Yes, well said.
I do not know. I do not know.
York has been a good servant and has often enough been treated badly for his pains, but this is a step too far.
Yeah, exactly.
The throne is not to be bargained for. Your Majesty must say so.
Yeah. I cannot. My lords, you must find a way. I have no answers for you. No answers anymore. It's in God's hands. Yes, he'll know what to do.
I can see I have been too much the obedient maid, the modest queen with downcast eyes, the doting mother and wifely support.
Madam, what are you saying?
I am saying, and forgive me, that if the king doesn't have the bollocks to defend his throne...
Madam!
Then I do. Cardinal, call every lord still loyal to England and its rightful king, and tell them it's arse-kicking time.
The bitch was out. And no mistake or apology now. The king had ceased to matter. The fight was with the queen.
In the end, it does matter that a man conducts himself in this life according to what he believes is true and right.
In the end, it always comes down to the edge of a sword, the point of an arrow, because words weigh nothing in this world, unless they are anchored by iron and steel. And peace has no worth unless it is born of war.
In the end, before anything could be done at all, we needed to settle with the Queen. Only then could we settle the country. And he who strikes first carries the day.
Sendor Castle. They had us trapped. They were waiting for the inevitable end.
We've got her, Warwick. She starves or she comes out to fight, and either way she loses.
You certain?
She hasn't the force. The damn castle couldn't hold that many men and horses. She couldn't feed them beyond a week, and we've been here near enough a month. It's a last hand, cousin, and she knows it.
It seems she aims to play it with a flourish.
I'll play it how she will. She loses today. Mount up! Prepare to receive their charge, boys! One shock, and then we take them, and we spare no one! And by God, a castle of his own to the man who brings me the bitch, and I will! On, York! On! Today we settle this, for God!
Your Majesty, are you cold? Are you wet? Can I fetch a cloak?
It's only weather. It doesn't matter. Is this it?
It is the traitor's head.
How proud he was this morning. Confident the victory was his, but in the end...
In the end, we're all dead, madam.
But not us. And not today. Today we won. York lost. Never to be king as he so wanted.
Well, shall we bury it, or...?
She who has it, and will keep it a while. Put it up on the gates of his own city and... Yes. Make him a crown of paper, and let York rule over the birds and the rats.
What of the king, madam?
The king, Cardinal? Have you not realized? I am the king now.
My Lord of March.
What is it, Warwick? Why so formal?
They took your father.
He's prisoner.
Ah, the bitch Margaret is done with that. He's dead. I'm sorry, Ned. He was my friend.
He was my father, but I don't really know if he was ever my friend. But I do believe he never wanted the throne for himself.
For England. It's what we all want, Ned.
And now?
That depends on you. Your claim is good. I've seen you fight. I think you're the man we need. Because if we intend to keep going, we must have a king to put on Henry's throne.
For England, but not for me.
You'll grow into it, lad, like a pair of new boots. We go on?
There's no going back for any of us. We face the Queen's army at Towton Fields. Let's get this thing done.
We have a problem, Ned.
No, we're the problem. For the Queen.
If you'll finish your toilet, come outside. This is important.
If it worries you, it worries me.
God's great bollocks. What's that? And that?
2 suns in the sky. Don't ask me how, but it's also a bloody great omen of bad luck for every man in this army.
2 sons. 2 sons. How can it be?
I've tried to ask the bishop, but he's crapping himself in the ecclesiastical jakes.
We have an ecclesiastical jakes?
No, it's just a pit like any other. But we'll all be in it with him, if we don't hammer a bung up the collective arse of this army soon.
Bad for us. Bad for her.
Oh, come on, Ned. They're already fighting under a woman's banner. How can it get any worse? We should pull back.
We can't. This is the moment, Warwick. Everything is right.
Look up, Ned.
Find me a woman.
Well, this is no time for that.
A needlewoman. A lot of them. Get them here and get them fast. And cloth and thread.
Ned, what's on your mind?
A sign is like a coin. It has 2 sides, bad and good. These 2 sons will be my banner from today. A sign to us that our cause is great in God's eye. For has he not wrought a miracle before us? Today, you cannot fail. For you fight in God's army, under the banner of Edward of York!
Clever boy, Ned. Very clever indeed. But what does she have to say about it?
There is one king of one country. That king is Henry VI.
Where is he? Where is the king?
The king is sick, you all know it. But that makes him no less the king, ordained by God. And on this day, as Henry's queen, I fight under my own banner. Today, we win or we die. A king fights in this queen, in this unholy war of cousins. And we will put an end to it and restore peace to this land. May God judge us and give our cause victory!
York's son, Edward, and the Duke of Warwick faced Queen Margaret at the Battle of Towton. And that day, 50,000 Englishmen died. God himself must have wept over so much waste. This land, this... That day, Lancaster's hopes died. The Queen escaped, the mad, sad king and her son in her train. She took her army south, gathering men to her cause, though there were more, always more, who would join that cause, my cause. But in the end, when she came to London...
My Lord Mayor, you know me well. You know King Henry is with me, your lawful king, crowned in your cathedral.
Aye, Majesty. There's also an army with you, and London doesn't like it.
I will guarantee their good behavior.
Maybe so, but you can't guarantee they won't eat this city out of bread and meat. We have nothing to spare for you.
Not even your sworn allegiance to the king?
The king is mad again, they say.
I say he is still the king.
Then why is the Queen leading the king's army? It isn't seemly. There is nothing for you here, madam.
There were no more friends to be bought at any price, and she went, where else, home to France, where her uncle, Louis the King, the universal spider, welcomed her into his web.
I was 14 years old, a girl, and full of hope when I married my Henry. When I returned to France, I was 32, and heavy with grief, but now I was a woman in full. and a woman can never in this world fall to her knees and weep with greatest regret, because there is always something to be done. I had a kingdom to regain, and no time for tears or regrets.
In Henry VI, a simple man, Henry VI was Al Weaver, Margaret, Amy Fionn Edwards, and York, Sean Dooley. Cardinal Beaufort was Paul Moriarty, Warwick, Gerard McDermott, Somerset, Carl Prekopp, and Edward of York, Simon Bubb, with Rikki Lawton, James Lailey, and Christopher Webster. Plantagenet is written by Mike Walker and produced by Jeremy Mortimer and Sasha Yevtushenko. Plantagenet by Mike Walker. Richard III, The Three Brothers.
Like most stories, my story starts before it starts.
What's up, Clarence?
Nothing. Much.
Are you supposed to be kicking that thing around inside?
I'm not kicking, I'm bouncing. Besides, who cares, Dick? I mean, who cares? Oh, Clarence! Oh dear, now look what you've done.
I didn't do anything.
What in Hades' name is going on here?
It's a story about three brothers. One who I think loved me, one who I think hated me, and one who I think belonged to the devil. And which was which? Well, the devil knows his own, but as to the rest, the devil may care.
That's enough, both of you.
Come on, Ned, take one minute. Far wall, top right-hand side.
No, that's no fair, you hit the mirror.
Enough! I said.
Oh, come on, Ned, you're not the king. Yet.
I will be tomorrow.
Will you, to the utmost of your power, maintain the laws of God, the Holy Church of Rome, and the true profession of the Gospel?
I will.
But today you're still just Ned, right?
Right.
Yes. Tomorrow I can have your heads cut off just like that. And today, well, I'll just take the ball off you two little boys!
Going on there, Dick. Don't let him. What are you doing?
Right. End wall. Middle picture.
Hey! Oh, nice one, Ned. Whose picture did you just destroy?
I think it's Mad Henry.
Well, I've got his throne, so...
What should I do with it?
Throw it away. Who needs old kings when we've got a new one in the family?
Will you solemnly promise and swear to govern the peoples of England according to their respective laws and customs?
The things which I have herebefore promised, I will perform and keep. So help me God.
God save King Edward IV. God save the King!
It's really amazing, isn't it? He did it. I mean, Ned did it. Who would have thought he had it in him? I mean, to lead an army, take a throne, even if it was from a woman.
I did.
You did what?
Thought he had it in him. And Margaret was some kind of woman. Oh, and you can't play football in the Abbey.
I can do anything I want, Dick. I'm the king brother.
Ooh! Boys! It is not seemly.
Sorry, my Lord Bishop.
This is God's house.
Oh, really? Is it really?
Yes, young sir, and it would do you well to respect that.
We shall go at once, Bishop. I'm sorry for any trouble.
Here, cat.
Stop it! You hit me and bleeding. Oh.
Yeah, back home we call it a Yorkshire kiss.
The king will hear of this.
You can tell me, and I'll tell him next time I see him.
Do not make an enemy of the church,
Bishop,
my lord.
Go now and keep your peace, because you do not want to make enemies of us.
Go.
Three brothers. Ned, Clarence and Dick. Edward, the king. Clarence, then in his early 20s, and Richard, still finding his way, as was the king, against his critics and his friends.
My lords!
Be silent for the king, gentlemen!
I can see, my lords, that you are we are all used to a lack of discipline. It's only natural. The times have made it that way, and we are men of our times. But it is now time for us to make something new. A stable land in which men and trade can flourish, through which travellers can go in safety. I promised these things at my coronation. I intend to honour that promise. I will also say that in future, when I ask for silence, it will be given. Immediately. Who does not hold his tongue will pay with his tongue. This nation needs to find respect for the throne again.
God bless you, sire.
God bless His Majesty.
My Lord of Warwick will go as our representative to France, to settle matters with King Louis and, perhaps, regain some of what was lost by Mad Henry.
About time, too.
Our job at home is to make this nation great. We have our work cut out, but Englishmen have never been afraid of bending their backs and getting down to it.
And then this happened.
Richard, you rode well today.
I always do, Ned. My Lord of Warwick taught me how, and he was never a man to hold back on the whip for horse or boy.
Stood you in good stead. Oh, good steed.
I hear he's in France now, whipping them up.
Oh, something like that. Tell the truth, I'm happier when he's not looking over my shoulder.
You know, Clarence has his eye on the older Warwick daughter.
Well, I know you were always sweet on little Anne.
Oh, we were children then. Are you happy with the idea of Clarence allying himself to that family?
Shouldn't I be?
Well, look, Ned, Your Majesty, I love him. We all do, but there are times when Madcap just becomes totally mad, and...
What? Come on, Dick, you've got that look in your eye.
Well, Warwick is by a long yard the richest man in the country. Add Isabel's portion to what Clarence already has. He has ambitions, Ned. They may be crazy, but then whoever thought you'd be king?
I'll keep an eye. Don't... Who is that?
Who?
The beauty.
Lizzie Woodville. Her father, Rivers, sits on your council.
Excuse me, Dick.
Your Majesty.
Madam.
I hear, sir, that you were successful today.
Eh?
In the hunt. You brought down more than anyone else, they say.
Oh, they'd say that whether it was true or not.
Because you're the king.
Yes. One of the attributes of the job. No one wants to tell the king the truth.
You don't say if that is a good thing or a bad thing, Your Majesty.
Sometimes it's a good thing, my lady, and sometimes it's a bad thing.
And what about the king?
Eh?
Does he always tell the truth?
Well, he is the king. What he says must be the truth, surely.
And if he said, salt is sweet, would the court eat salt plums for treats?
You know, they probably would. You are a remarkably beautiful woman, madam. And that is the truth.
I know. I can read it in your eyes.
Huh. You are also remarkably forward, madam.
I have been married and widowed, sir. I have given birth to 2 sons. I have little fortune of my own and must do for them and for me. Life, I find, tends to knock the girl out of the woman.
The woman, madam, is magnificent. May we meet again later?
May I always speak the truth to you?
Do kings bargain?
I think kings are men, like any other in their breeches. And men, I'm told, bargain all the time.
God, you are amazing. Yes, the truth, always the truth.
Then, until later. In England, we talked of love. In France, a defeated queen, poor, mad, sad, usurped Henry's Queen Margaret, talked of something else to her uncle, King Louis, the universal spider.
It's good to be back in France.
And King Henry, he...
Wants peace with France, as he always has. But you know that.
Indeed I do, madam. However, I also know that my Lord of Warwick is enjoying our hospitality and has a great wish to bring about a marriage between the usurper, Edward, and a French princess.
Alliance with those who overthrow their lawful king does not set a great precedent, Louis.
Ah, precedents, my dear Margaret, are for merchants and priests, not monarchs.
You are a very beautiful woman, Elizabeth.
You said so this afternoon.
Well, your beauty is ageless.
Or at least for the space of half a day.
But that was under the sun, and now it is tonight.
Yes, it is. It's dark, and generally that means it is night.
Night is for love, for kisses.
Night is for sleeping. No, Ned, no.
I am your king, woman.
No, your majesty. No.
Elizabeth, I love you.
So, what's to be done, Ned?
The king is in attendance at his royal council at Reading.
God save the king! Please, sit, all of you. It is our pleasure this day to welcome back our good servant Warwick from France. My lord.
Warwick, yes! Your Majesty, members of the council, I thank you. I have to report that relations with King Louis stand at a high. At the same time, relations with Burgundy also stand at a high. Not that either knows of our contacts with the other. And this is primarily due to the fact that both support the proposed marriage between Bonner of Castile and our sovereign Lord Edward. A match that will bring about a realignment of power and influence throughout Greater France, to our increasing advantage. I present you, sir, with a portrait of your bride-to-be. By all reports, a charming and lively young person.
My Lord of Warwick, Uncle, how can I thank you for your great efforts on behalf of our realm, this realm of England? We owe you more than we can ever repay.
Just marry the girl, sir, and that will be enough.
Well, Warwick, here's the thing.
The thing, Ned?
I am already married. I married Dame Elizabeth Woodville 3 months since. I will leave her father, Earl Rivers, my new Chancellor, to explain matters to the Council, and I know they will support my decision in this matter. Thank you.
Wouldn't open her legs for you, would she?
It's got nothing to do with it.
And making me look like an idiot throughout France, that has. I negotiated a royal match.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. She's my queen.
I always thought you understood marriage was about far more important things than treading a hen, Ned.
I am the king. You will not speak to me in that manner, Warwick.
And Rivers, her father?
He's a capable man.
He's a nothing, a nobody. They all are. What a bloody waste! I had hoped for more from you.
Was there anything else you wanted to say, my lord?
Only... Oh, goodbye!
Warwick!
My lord! Wait! Wait!
What do you want, Clarence? I've had just about enough of your family today.
Oh, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Bloody woman. And there's 1,000 of them, relatives, all dirt poor and grasping.
You think so?
Oh, really? Everyone thinks so. Everyone who's anyone.
Why are you talking to me? What do you want?
I want your daughter Isabel.
Are you all completely mad? Your brothers just made me look like the horsest arse of Europe, and now you
Ned
want to...
forbade the match. He completely refused permission. He knew exactly what he was setting up for you, how it would look. He wants to make it hurt. And I want Isabel.
You're all ruled by your cubs.
He would hate it. Burn like vitriol it would.
Isabel's in France.
Shall we go, then?
What do I get?
You put one king on the throne. What's to stop me putting another? I have the same bloodline as Ned.
And so I was the queen, enthroned at the Abbey, and Edward finally got what he wanted. A stable nation, but there's always a but. You are worried, my love.
Richard keeps on at me. He's concerned about Warwick and Clarence.
Your brother would never harm you, Ned.
There was always something odd about Clarence. When he was a child, I hardly saw him or Dick. They were so much younger, but there were stories about cats and rats and things found tortured. At the same time, he can be so nice. People like him until they hate him. Oh, maybe I should have let him marry Isabel, and yet...
What does Richard say?
Well, that Warwick is getting old. And the only thing he has to lose now is his reputation, and he's deeply hurt. He'll use Clarence, and he'll use King Louis, who has no love at all for England, to salve that wound.
My Lord of Warwick, how pleasant to see you in my court.
Your Majesty.
But a greater pleasure still is to bring together those who have been in enmity until now. Yourself and our great niece, Queen Margaret of England.
My Lord of Warwick, you have had a long journey.
Madam.
Your Majesty will do, Warwick.
Your Majesty. I stand before you...
Your knees will do, Warwick.
If you think I'm...
My lord, you want this. You need it. Here, let me help you down.
These Woodvilles are like rats in a house. Nothing is safe from their greed. Edward is besotted by the woman Elizabeth. Her relatives now claim half, 3/4 of the great officers of state.
So your vanity is hurt, Warwick?
Not as much as my knees, madam. I've been down here an age, and though it does allow us to talk eye to eye...
You may get up.
Very gracious, I'm sure.
Now, to dinner and to business. Warwick's forces already in England, with the Duke of Clarence as your ally, with the support that you, Majesty, and particularly your son, the Prince of Wales, will gain on landing.
He will provide ships, supplies.
I will get you there ready and fit to fight. I want an agreement signed and sealed. Peace between us.
When you march in and take over Burgundy?
England stands back.
Done on my part. I made that bastard, Edward. Now I'll unmake him.
Can I trust you, Warwick? You used to call me the Queen Bitch, I recall.
I used to call Edward friend.
You look at the target. Just the target. Let your body align itself. Breathe in, out, and release.
She flies like a kingfisher.
Kills like a hawk.
Good shooting, Ned. You can be my personal archer.
Oh, I thought I already was. But here comes a man who can make me look like a beginner. Dick, come and try a shot. Yeah.
Thank you. More news from France. Warwick and the bitch have set up a marriage between his daughter Anne and her son.
Your Anne?
That's what I thought. The bastard knew it too. He gives Isabel to bloody Clarence and shows me his arse.
Sorry, madam.
I understand.
I looked out for her when we were children.
This means they'll be coming, and soon.
Earl Rivers is ready to call a general mobilisation. On your word.
Score! 5 balls! Too close to separate!
See? I told you, Lizzie, Dick's the deadliest shooter in the nation.
We'll need more than 5 bulls to get us out of this one.
But Ned's brought stable government, wealth and prosperity.
He's also, with all respect, madam, brought in...
Enough,
It
Dick.
needs to be said, Your Majesty. And if I don't say it, who will?
No one who wants to stay the king's friend.
You're talking about my family.
Yes.
You object, my Lord of Gloucester.
Warwick will find far more support once he lands because the old aristocracy don't like newcomers. They'll fight to preserve the way things were.
What do you like, sir?
Dick is as sharp as he is accurate with a bow. The cleverest of us all, Lizzie. Come, there's no time to be lost.
Ned was right. There was no time to be lost. Warwick landed. The advantage shifted back and forth a dozen times. Finally, Warwick and Margaret came to rest behind the high walls at Coventry. Edward was outside. Clarence was approaching from the north. If Clarence and Warwick joined forces, we were done.
Warwick! Show yourself, man! Are you frightened to come out and face a king?
I have a king in here, Ned. No need to take a walk on such a chilly morning.
You have a king in skirts called Margaret! Is that how it is with Warwick nowadays?
You'll see how it is when we're ready.
Come out, you bastard!
From all Clarence tells me, you have more to fear from that name than me.
I'll be waiting for you! I'll be here!
Hold on to your cod, Ned. We'll be there too, once Clarence arrives.
Oh, put it down. I'm not armed.
What are you doing here, Dickon? You're on the wrong side.
I don't think so at all. Why don't you offer me some wine?
It's a bloody war, it's not a party.
Oh, come on! With Clarence, it's always a party.
I could have you taken and killed.
I told you, a party.
What do you want? Or, more to the point, what does Ned have that I might want?
If he wins when he faces Warwick and Margaret...
They're waiting for me at Coventry. He won't win.
He will, if you fight on our side. And if you do, what he'll have is everything that once belonged to Warwick. And you get half.
I've already got his daughter.
Who brings you up, maybe a tenth?
Richard, you're too smart for your own good.
But not for yours. Think about it. If Warwick and Margaret win, how long are you going to stay on good terms with either of them? On our side, it's your big brother and me. We'll look out for your back. In this world, the only people you can trust are family. Maybe one day it'll be a different world. But not today.
There was no final battle. Only a series of encounters between men exhausted by a sea of blood and loss. A breaking wave that drags down with it 1,000, then 10,000 stones. Stones like lives lost. One grief. A mother's pain for every mother's son lost in this war of cousins.
Well, madam?
God rot you, Edward.
No, madam. God supports me. Our victory today makes that quite clear. Warwick is dead. Your cause is dead.
My son is dead. You will burn in hell for that.
It was a battle. He was a soldier.
Damn your battles!
Yours too. You could have stayed in France with your husband and your boy. They came here because of you. There's no way you can step aside from that responsibility, Margaret.
You have no right to use my name. How is the king?
The king stands before you, madam.
My King Henry is a prisoner in London. He is the king. There cannot be two kings in a kingdom.
As always, madam, your wisdom shows us the way forward.
No. Not son and husband, Bubb. You cannot. You cannot.
Can you tell me in all honesty, Your Majesty, that were you in my position, you would not do exactly the same?
Margaret returned to France and in good or bad time died. And we needed that time to begin to heal the country. 6 years. Years of peace and quiet and growth. There were our children, the girls first and then the boys. A little Prince Edward who would one day rule as wisely and as well as his father. A nation at peace with itself and the world. And yet some men must always pick at the wound until it bleeds.
So I take it you were there then, when Ned presented the child to the nation and made him Prince of Wales?
I don't go south much now, but I was there.
You're more interested in domestic matters. It makes a difference being a married man, eh?
Makes a difference when your brother tries to kidnap your bride-to-be.
Well, I didn't mean anything by it. It was just a little...
Plot. Let me give you some advice, Clarence. Don't. You're not very good at it.
Once, I would have broken 2 of your fingers for that, Dickon.
Once! You'd do it still if I didn't have 20 of my men stationed around us. What do you want?
First, an answer. Why don't you go south? With your brains, you should be the king's right-hand man.
You think?
It's the Queen and her people. It's the bloody Woodvilles, right?
They do have a habit of stealing everything that's not nailed down.
And then they steal the nails and take the rest.
Pretty much stolen the country. Rivers runs the council, their ambassadors, ministers, bishops and cardinals too, I wouldn't be surprised.
People don't like it.
Mostly I find people put up with it, though.
They don't have to.
Oh, come on, Clarence. What are you suggesting?
What if Ned were...
You can't say it. Even here, surrounded by my people.
Your people are surrounded by my people. I can say any damn thing I want. I have as much right to the throne as Ned, and more than some boy whelped by the Woodville woman.
He who has it, has it.
And he who takes it may lose it. It's not divine right, Dick.
Actually, it is.
Oh, what, like God backed Mad Henry? No. No, I mean, little brother, you would know that, wouldn't you, since it was your practical hand that held the blade that cut his miserable life off. Did the Almighty tap you on the shoulder and say, "Oh, hold hard, Dick, this one is mine"?
There's been too much war, Clarence.
Oh, come on, there can never be too much war, women, or wine. If Ned came from the wrong side of the blanket, I'm next in line.
The Prince of Wales
is still shitting his diapers.
No.
You know as well as I do, and as well as the Pope in Rome, that Ned was legally promised to Bonner of Castile. Warwick arranged the whole thing. He showed me the bloody contract. Never mind Ned's parentage. By any standard, his marriage is as illegitimate as the little prince is a bastard. Besides, Ned wouldn't even be on the throne if I hadn't...
Stabbed Warwick in the back, I know.
Well, brothers. We look out for each other. Not for bloody Woodvilles.
Some things cannot be thought.
Anything can be thought. And in my experience, once you've thought it, you can do it. So think about it. Clever Dick.
We see you so seldom, Richard, and yet now you're here. Why so gloomy? You know Ned would like you to be more part of what we're doing.
Madam, I would, if only I could, but business in the north, a family...
Aren't we family too, Dickon?
You know, I would be here if...
If...
Nothing, nothing.
And yet it quite obviously is something, sir. You may not like me or my family, Richard, but please don't take any of us for fools.
No, that would be a mistake.
And if nothing else, you must believe that I care for the king. And is England a worse place because of me?
Some say it's a poorer place.
Only those who have lost. Others say differently.
I am loyal.
Then say what you came here to say. Because it's quite clear the food, the drink, and the company are not to your taste.
What are you two being so secret about? Well?
The Duke of Gloucester has news for us.
I have news for you, Ned.
Well, the Queen and I are of one mind, Richard.
But not, if we are to believe Clarence, of one flesh.
You go too far, sir. You will retract those words.
They're not mine.
What's he up to now? I thought he was settled.
He's settled. On a course of action which will, he believes, seat him on the throne of England.
Oh, come on, Dick. This is Clarence.
Yes, Clarence. You seem to think it's no more than mischief.
He's serious about this. He's saying your marriage is invalid. The little prince is a...
He can't do that.
No, the question Richard is actually asking is, can he get away with doing it?
Again. He's raised a force.
It's treason.
Oh, I know exactly what it is. I did it too, remember? Shouldn't I forgive my brother?
Only if you're Christ. And you can't rise again, Ned.
Will the war never end?
Not whilst Clarence has anything to do with it.
Then he must be stopped. I'll call a council. They'll order such forces as we need and issue a warrant of arrest. Clarence must be placed in a position where he can do no more harm to this country. But I want no harm done to him. Richard, please escort the Queen to her chambers.
No harm to Clarence.
And yet, where he can do no harm to the country. An interesting puzzle. Something for the schoolmen.
He has to consider in quiet moments when... Oh, my Lord Stafford.
Majesty.
Do you know Gloucester?
I do, of course. Know of the Duke's great service to the nation and on the council, when he attends. Sir, your servant.
Sir, yours.
Stafford is a man of great energy. I would be obliged, Richard, if you would keep him by your side, where you will find him useful.
Don't you mean where you will find him useful, madam? He is, after all, your brother-in-law.
It is the Queen's wish. If you require another order in council...
No, not at all. Stafford, you are welcome to my dust, if you can swallow it. Madam, goodbye. You are obviously in safe hands here.
I thought that setting Stafford to watch Richard was the cleverest of schemes. Turns out, it was the stupidest thing I had ever done, and almost cost me everything I'd gained.
I have the King's order for your arrest on charges of treason.
Well. Dick and his dog come to snap at my heels.
You will...
accompany you to the tower and, pick peaches. I hear they have good peaches in the tower.
Please don't.
Make trouble for you.
Keep finishing my sentences. It's very annoying, Clarence.
Ned means it this time.
Oh, yes, he's serious.
That why you've got young Stafford with you, to keep an eye.
I keep an eye for no one except myself, sir.
I doubt that. Married to the Queen's sister?
I was 10. It was not of my choice, and it is not to my liking. I go with no man or woman except by choice. And I ask for no favours, only the chance to prove myself.
And how'd you go about that?
I look to what might benefit me the most, my lord.
Oh. Well, you're very honest, sir. Perhaps too honest.
They say that when Satan most needs to gain a point, he always tells the truth.
For who believes the devil? Yes, very clever. Now, look, Clarence, just come along with us. Settle in the tower for a while. And, yes, eat peaches all you want. And then Ned will kick your ass and send you back home.
You sure?
My word on it, brother.
Clarence in the tower. An order against him in council. A sentence of death. But one which Ned and all of us knew would never be carried out.
Are they as good as they say?
Try one, Stafford. But be careful of the juice.
Thank you. Good. But you're right, you have to be careful of the juice.
He couldn't do it, could he? My brother. Either of them.
No.
But you're different.
Am I?
Yeah, I saw that before when you came to arrest me. I knew then it would be you. Now. I recognise something in you.
Just carrying out the order of the council?
No. There's more hiding behind your truth. You think you can be king, don't you? Not today, but after, when Edward dies. Henry Stafford, Duke of Buckingham.
It's as good a line as yours, or your brother's.
Should you be telling me that? Of course. Then I'll give you some advice. Call it a last testament. Don't go up against Richard. He's smarter than you.
But he couldn't have you executed, could he?
He didn't need to. He knew you'd do it. You see? Smart. Another peach?
No, thank you.
Shall we get to it, then?
And that, we thought, was that. Of course Ned was angry, hurt, regretful. Well, perhaps not so much regret. Richard, though. What Richard thought then, none of us knew. The throne was safe. If there was a threat, it was far away in France. Henry Tudor, the grandson of old Queen Catherine and her Welsh lover, Owen Tudor. But at home...
All rise for His Majesty! Thank you, please. I have little to report to my council, and as you all know, no news is so often good news. Our agreement with Louis of France holds, and the peace will continue, so men, all men, may continue to increase their standing and their wealth. Revenues from import-export taxes are up. The French loan continues to prove healthy. This is the King's job, to keep the nation content and rich, to keep the peace, and to keep the celebration of this year of our Lord, 1482, as before, at Westminster, where we shall give thanks for the many blessings poured down.
I never realized, when I was a young man, what the most difficult thing about being a king would be.
What then? Managing to eat and drink as much as you did tonight.
Oh, you have to take wine with each man there, otherwise they'll feel insulted.
But you didn't have to take meat with each one too, Ned.
But then the cooks would be offended. No. It's finding time to be alone with my wife. You know, you are still as beautiful and beguiling as you were on that first summer night.
There has been many a summer between then and now.
Yes, but they were, what did you call it? Cocks and hens. Just cocks and hens, but you and I, Lizzie, a man and a woman, that's...
Ned? Ned?
The King! The King, hurry! Oh, come, someone, for God's sake, the King!
Anima eius et animae omnium fidelium, defunctorum per misericordiam Dei, requiescant in pace. Amen.
I never realized you took such an interest in husbandry, my lord.
We're all farmers in the end. And we're all interested in planning for next year.
And the year after. You'll be regent now the king is dead.
The king is never dead, Stafford. The moment he dies, his successor...
A 12-year-old boy?
...becomes king in his place.
He's in Wales with his Uncle Rivers. The Queen's in London with her people. And you're here in Yorkshire. A child can't rule. I was forcibly married as a child to the Queen's sister for their advantage. They stole my estate blind. Now they want to manage the king and the country for their advantage and our loss. We know where a weak king leads. We must have a man of the old school at our head. The old king's brother. The sharpest mind in the kingdom. We need you.
I don't want the crown, Stafford. I never have.
But an England ruled by the Woodvilles through a 12-year-old boy? How long do you think that peace will hold? How long before the War of the Cousins breaks out again? Everything your brother achieved will be lost.
They say hogs and men are very alike. But hogs never look up. Never see the stars or the sun. They have a cosmology of acorns, Stafford. Very well. We need to give our homage to the new king before he reaches London and his family. My people are ready. We ride tonight. Send out scouts to find out.
It has been done. We can meet him near Northampton.
And there ensure he understands how things must be, if England is to be safe.
My Lord Bishop, what do we do? Who asks for entrance in this manner?
The Queen! Now open the door, Bishop, and open it now if you value your position.
I do not know, madam. I cannot be sure.
Which way the wind blows, it'll blow ice cold from the east straight up your robes if you waste any more time. The Queen asks sanctuary of the Church. Will you dare refuse it?
Open the door. Madam, how many are there here?
Only my son Richard, my daughters and our servants. Don't worry, Bishop. The place is big enough for all of us.
Sanctuary is a serious business, Majesty.
Just remember who gave you your job.
God has.
Oh, shut up and shut the door.
Do it! But, Majesty, you are sanctuary, and yet you are the Queen Mother, and your eldest son awaits his coronation in the royal apartments in the Tower. Should you not be there, advising, supporting the lad at this...
Rotherham, you are not a fool. You'd not have got this far in the Church if you were.
The Duke of Gloucester has support. The people respect him. They understand that a young king will need wise advisers.
The Duke of Gloucester may be wise, but wisdom without heart can lead to places where what is necessary overcomes what is good. Now find us some rooms where we may be private.
Did Richard want the throne for himself? Did he see it as a necessary step towards ensuring continuity and peace? Does why even matter when what becomes so terrible?
They love the boy. They should. He's a king's son and they loved Edward. They wouldn't have put up with the Woodvilles if they hadn't.
He was a good ruler, Stafford.
Nobody denies it, my lord. And the boy will, in time, be good if he is guided well. After all, he is truly the son of a king, isn't he? And of a queen mother, who has chosen not to be with us today.
At her devotions, as a widow should be.
With the rest of her children gathered around her, and a vast collection of her possessions. The Archbishop is quite crowded out of house, home and cathedral.
She's still the Queen Mother, Stafford. My brother's choice, and deserves respect.
Ah! For now.
Who are you, sir? You are breaching the sanctuary of the Holy Church.
You asked for a doctor, madam. I am the doctor. My name is Lewis.
I asked for no...
Your friends are concerned for your health and the health of your family.
Well, then I still have friends in England.
In England and across the water. Tell me your symptoms, Majesty.
Melancholy, Doctor. A deep and black pit from which I cannot climb.
Yeah, your tongue. Yeah. I will bring you news. Take messages if you have them, but only by word of mouth. Eyes, please. Wide open.
They all said it was my eyes that captivated the king.
Lady Margaret Beaufort sends her good wishes and asks you to remember her and her son, Henry Tudor. May I feel your neck?
Better you than the headsman. What of my son?
Yeah, turn. Head up. Yeah. Well, and loved by the people, so far. Yes. The condition is serious, Majesty. It will require a course of treatment. I will prepare slime drafts and return.
Thank you, Lewis. God bless you.
God bless the king.
Edward needs his little brother. He's lonely.
Oh, then let him come to me here.
Why don't you go to him, Elizabeth? He's only down the road.
Because I don't trust you, Richard.
I swear on this holy edifice and every holy book in it that I will not play you false.
You executed my brother and my uncle.
Absolutely not. They were arrested and tried for treachery and duly sentenced. Quickly, I agree, but these are not the times for leisure. Besides, Elizabeth, we all know the game and the stakes, don't we? And we do need to settle this business for
the sake of the country, I know.
I wish you wouldn't finish my sentences for me.
Oh, I think you are more than capable of finishing your own sentences, whatever others may say.
Then, simply put, the boy must join his brother. The council, the archbishop, the people demand it. And frankly, it looks bad if the lads aren't together.
And if I refuse?
Elizabeth, you've known me since I was 18. We were never really friends, but we both loved Ned, and we both did everything we could, sometimes bad things, to protect him. I will not harm his children or his kingdom. I believe in this Plantagenet line, our line, your line. We will go on. We will make England prosper. Please, I'm not in the habit of begging, but if I must, I will.
They are my boys.
Of course, but honestly, how much time have you spent with them? I spent far longer with old Warwick, who brought me up, than ever I did with my own mother and father. I didn't know them. Look at me. It's not the grieving mother, is it? It's the Queen, worried about her position, her future. Well, I swear to you, Elizabeth, Queen of England, on my soul, your position and your life are safe in my hands.
No. Very well. The boy may join his brother. But mark this, Richard. I have your word.
It was necessary. You know that.
It was stupid. I know that.
Not at all. Over the last weeks, it's become clear to anyone with any sense at all that the boys were bastards. Your brother's marriage to the Woodville bitch was utterly illegal in the sight of the Holy Church. They could never have inherited.
Clarence said something of the kind, I recall.
Clarence is dead.
And now the boys are dead, too.
But as far as anyone knows, they are still eating peaches in the tower.
Do you really think they don't know out there?
More to the point, with this illegitimacy issue, the princes are irrelevant, alive or dead. You are the king. What's so stupid about that?
Nothing, as far as you are concerned. Everything as far as I'm concerned. I am the child killer. I broke my oath. I stole the throne. Do you want me to go on?
Surely there's nothing there the god of the Plantagenets wouldn't let you into heaven for? Besides, the Queen lives. Her position is secure. Your oath is kept.
Stafford, do you know I lost a child? He died, my little boy. Yes, I knew him a damn sight better than Lizzie knew her boys, but out there, every mother and father feels it, because we do... Because we do. But do you know where the real stupidity lies?
Please, tell.
In trusting you.
I did exactly what you wanted.
No, you did exactly what you wanted.
Oh, please, Richard.
Because you wanted more. Like poor Clarence, you wanted the throne.
But as you said, Clarence is dead.
So are you, Stafford.
Hush, madam. Hush, you cannot. You dare not.
Oh!
People listen, tell tales. All is known. You must keep your grief in silence. Abide in peace for now, I beg you.
Oh, Richard!
Most say Stafford, but Stafford is dead.
How?
By Richard's arranging. A revolt poorly planned, badly executed, and Stafford quickly executed.
Dust under the carpet, and now he is king.
King for a while.
He is young. King for an age. Then what now for me and mine?
You must do as he asks. No. Come out from sanctuary, join the court, smile and laugh and show off your daughters.
How can you ask me to do all of that, Lewis? I would rather die than...
No, madam. I think as your physician you would rather live. And I have the draft that will aid your recovery.
Go on.
I have a ring. It belongs to Henry Tudor. He's in France. He waits with mercenaries and ships for the weather to be right, and then he will come. Through Wales, through the West Country, gathering men.
What's that to me?
Henry is the last of Lancaster through his mother. Your daughter is the last of York through her father. Henry will swear before God's altar to marry your daughter, bringing York and Lancaster together into something new.
Oh, this is dangerous stuff, Lewis.
Think of it, madam. You could be the grandmother of kings to come for unknown generation.
Oh, then I will think of it. As I join the court, smile and laugh and show off my daughters.
Did I know, when I gave my youngest son to Richard, that he would, inevitably, have to countenance the murder of both boys? Did I, somewhere deep within me, never to be thought of, know it? Yes. Then why? Because it's what we do. We survive. We smile and laugh and... I once, when I was a girl, heard a traveller's tale. An old crusader it was, as tanned and wrinkled and dry as ancient leather. He told of, so many things, burning bushes and lost cities and gold, and what struck me most, of seeing a lioness in a time of famine eating her cubs. And I asked him, I was perhaps 8 or 9, why, Sir Knight? How could she do such a thing? And he said, to survive, little mistress. For she knew that if she did, she would live to hunt again and have more cubs. But if she did not, they would die, and she would die, and there would be nothing left but bones bleaching in the sun. The last time I saw Richard, barely a year later, he was going away to...
Protect the kingdom, madam, from this man Tudor. That's all I've ever wanted to do.
They say he has followers. They say he is a man as intelligent as you, Richard, but different. They say he's laid plans like a castle mason, sheet by sheet, building up stone and mortar, wood and iron nails, until he has exactly what he needs.
You're saying he'll win?
If strategies can win a throne, I think he may.
Is it no longer in the hands of God who comes out victorious on the day?
I believe it may not be so.
I believe it may. We've been here more than 300 years since old Henry took the throne from Stephen. You know, they used to call us Plantagenets the Devil's Brood. Well, madam, the devil has a sure grip. He doesn't like to let go.
Of those he drags down to hell. You killed my babies, Richard. You'll answer for that.
It's what we do, Elizabeth. It's what we do.
sir. It goes badly. You should leave. Get away.
Do I see Henry Tudor down there, amongst his men?
You do.
He looks right, somehow.
We must go, now!
Have you ever wondered, Sergeant, what a man is in this world? This King Richard III. If we run, who will remember us then? But if we charge, as soldiers must. Mount up, Sergeant. Let's show them how we do it. Shall we?
They tell me, my son-in-law Henry Tudor tells me, on that last day at Bosworth Field, in that last charge, that last hurrah of the world we knew, Richard rode like his namesake Lionheart at the head of a tiny force into the heart of the enemy. The crown on his head, his sword held high, everything to play for, and the devil take the loser. Henry stood his ground, calculating that his enemy would never get through the press of men, and that he had won, long before ever that charge came to nothing. And Richard lay dead at his feet, and that Plantagenet crown was picked up by other hands.
In Richard III, The Three Brothers, Elizabeth was played by Nancy Carroll, Richard III by Carl Prekopp, Edward IV by Simon Bubb, Clarence by Christopher Webster, and Margaret by Amy Fionn Edwards. Warwick was Gerard McDermott, Stafford, Adam Billington, Lewis, James Lailey, and the Bishop, Paul Moriarty. Plantagenet is written by Mike Walker and produced by Jeremy Mortimer and Sasha Yevtushenko.